No! You have a whole foundation to continue to build upon. Don't start over from scratch for no reason. Hey everybody, Colton here, and this question comes to us from Neil. Neil writes, Chris Hemsworth says that he is sticking around as Thor for a few more films after Doomsday and Secret Wars. What role do you want to see him have in the next saga of the MCU? I personally hope to see him leading the Avengers. Ooh, I disagree with that. I do want to see Chris Hemsworth as Thor for a long time, but leading the Avengers, I don't know about all that. All right, so you're referring to these quotes from Chris Hemsworth. I have them pulled up here on comicbookmovie.com. So let's read these quotes, okay? Talking on the Smartless podcast, Hemsworth said that he still has a couple more times as Thor beyond the next Avengers movie, though we already know that at least one of those is Avengers Secret Wars. Yeah, he's going to be in Secret Wars. That hasn't been confirmed, I don't think, but yeah, he'll be in it. Hemsworth said, it's been so much fun, and what I've really enjoyed, unlike a lot of what the other let me try that again. And what I've really enjoyed, unlike a lot of what the other characters that the actors were given, they have had to be pretty consistent, whereas working with Taika Waititi on his films versus Kenneth Branagh with those films, and then with the Russos, all the films had quite a different sort of tonal opinion. But the Russos also let me try different things. It's the same with my tattoos. I'd be getting really bored with the same thing and having a real need to kind of throw in different, it's in brackets, I'm sorry, to kind of throw in different directions regarding the performance. Hemsworth then added, I was talking to Kevin Feige about it, and he said it's cool because the audience now expects dramatic turns with the character, and whatever we do next, we've got some ideas to do something pretty unique again, and hopefully be different. When we made Ragnarok, it was quite a twist. Pointing to the comic books, an example of how much Thor has evolved and changed over the years, Crime 101 star admitted that you need to be careful with the God of Thunder. That's a lesson he learned from Thor, Love and Thunder. When we made Ragnarok, it was quite a twist with Taika's film. And it was so fun. There was a huge appreciation for the shift, Hemsworth noted. And then, with Love and Thunder, it was kind of like a Monty Python sketch, and we took the piss probably a little much. And then there was some backlash. There was this real kind of, why is he a goofball, and why is it like this? He continued, and audiences were violently offended, and were like, oh, we're just having fun, or offended, and we were like, oh, we're just having fun or trying to try something different. Okay. Thor Ragnarok's probably my favorite one. Yeah, definitely my favorite one. It did a great balance between, yes, Taika Waititi had the goofiness in it, but that movie is one of the darkest Thor films. I mean, we see Ragnarok happen. We see the rise of Hela. We see the death of Odin. The end. Oh my God. Was it at the very end or was it a post-credit scene? Sorry, I got an email. We see the arrival of Thanos. Yes, that movie was tonally different, I guess, from the first Thor and Dark World, but it made Thor such a more interesting character, and all the better, I think, for Infinity War. It provided contrast, because in order for there to be those dark moments, those whoa moments, you got to have the bright. So when you have Thor trying to be this fun-loving, lighthearted, heroic, and adventurous God, and you then want him to have these moments where he has these really dark, gets lost in his anger and his own mourning. Like, God, that moment in Infinity War when he's explaining to Rocket that, everyone he loves has died. All his family has died. And then he cracks a little joke and smiles at the end. That it's almost like that goofiness that Thor does. It's like a shield, it's like a coping mechanism, or like he's masking almost his own inner trauma, and that just makes the character all the more interesting. So I really love what they did with him in Ragnarok. I think they hit that balance perfect. And it made the character, it set up the character to be all the more interesting and dynamic and have like this depth to him that we saw in Infinity War and Endgame. And I think the earlier Avengers films as well allowed for that, those warring sides of Thor to be revealed. Like in, the first one in Avengers Age of Ultron, I think he got to be a little funny as well, if I'm remembering. So I'm all for that. It's where, and Hemsworth seems to be very aware of this, that Love and Thunder, they took it a little too far. And they did. They did take it a little too far. Plus, it's just, I'm not crazy about that movie. I need to watch it again. I think I've only seen it the one time when I saw it in theaters. But it's just not that great of a movie. It's kind of ugly. It's rushed. It just doesn't know what it's doing. It's not necessarily the goofiness. Yes, it's goofy. But I don't necessarily think that it was the goofiness that hurt that movie. Because there's a lot of dark stuff in that movie too. It was just, I wasn't crazy about the pacing and just how they executed the film overall. So I hope that they learn the right lessons from Love and Thunder. Certainly hope they don't learn the wrong lessons. Thor is a character who has a lot of depth, a lot of layers. And yes, in a movie like Doomsday and what we saw with him in that Doomsday trailer, we're seeing that, warrior going through it type Thor that we saw like in Infinity War and that we saw in Endgame. But also in Endgame, we got the funnier Thor. We got the lighthearted Thor. We got him trying to ignore everything that was, going on and just trying to cope with his own like emotions. So I want that in a Thor. I think we can see Thor in Doomsday have some little quips or just funny things he says that he doesn't even mean for them to be funny. You can do all of that in Doomsday and Secret Wars without, I just hope they don't go too far in either direction, I guess is what I'm saying. Now, as for your question, Neil, you were asking, you said you'd like to see him lead the Avengers. I do not want to see Thor leading the Avengers. I want to see Thor, and I'm glad that, in this quote, Hemsworth said that he is going to remain around as Thor beyond these Avengers movies. That's really great to hear. I think they should just do like Thor movies. He doesn't have to be super intertangled with the Avengers and what's going on Earth. He is a cosmic character. Do some like the Huntsman mixed with some Ragnarok. Like have that funny in there, but do like some hardcore. Did I say the Huntsman? I meant the Northman. Like do like this dark Norse mythology, kind of like a Viking feel to it. You can have Hercules in there, do that, and you can still have it be a little funny. I'm not saying go do like an R-rated Thor. I do think maybe eventually let him do like his Logan. Like whenever Chris Hemsworth does retire as Thor, have him do Logan, do a Logan type movie. That'd be cool. And, that becomes a little difficult because Thor is supposed to outlive all of these guys. So as Chris Hemsworth naturally ages, you're going to reach a point where it's like, well, why does he look so old? He shouldn't be looking that old for another few thousand years. So that's a hurdle they're going to have to, deal with. But I want to see like another Thor trilogy. Do another trilogy of Thor films that can kind of just stand on their own and don't have to be super involved with everything else going on. Let the Avengers be the Avengers and have, Sam Wilson and Yelena running the Avengers and do like some smaller scale Avengers films alongside like the X-Men films and the Fantastic Four films, and let Thor kind of be off on his own, kind of like they did with the Guardians for a little while. Maybe that's a good place to bring in some of the Guardians, bring Rocket and Groot back in or something. There's so many stories to be told. So yeah, I think you definitely keep Chris Hemsworth around as Thor for a while. I mean, why wouldn't you? If he's willing to do it, why wouldn't you? He is a beloved character. People love him in that role. He's fucking Thor. So just keep doing it. I feel the same with Chris Evans as Steve Rogers. Not for him to come back as Captain America, but have him kind of be like maybe the new, like, he's always kind of been the glue of the MCU. Have him continue that role in the future, serving as maybe like a bit of a, I was going to say Nick Fury. Yeah, Nick Fury in the sense that Nick Fury would pop up in a lot of stuff. Have him be President Steve Rogers. Have him be Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Steve Rogers. Keep Chris Evans around. If he's willing to do it, why not? You can both and. You can explore new characters and new corners of the MCU and tell new stories and do the X-Men, do the Fantastic Four, do the Avengers with an all-new team or like with these newer characters. And you can still do Thor movies. You can still have Steve Rogers pop up here and there. It's like an elder statesman of the MCU. I think that's the way they have to do it. It's the way they should do it. I feel the same way with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but I won't get on that soapbox right now. I think if these guys are willing to stay around, why not? Why not? Do the new, and you can also do some of the old. And the old doesn't mean that it's old. You can tell some new, great, cool, just, stories with the character of Thor. There's so many stories you could do with Thor. And why go through the trouble of recasting the character and telling an origin story again? And no, just keep building on what you have. We have reached a point where comic book movies can finally bypass all this origin movie shit and all this, oh, well, we can't have it take place in space or a different realm for too long. We gotta see Earth and some humans for people to feel. No! Build! You have a whole foundation to continue to build upon. Don't start over from scratch for no reason. So I'm glad to hear that Hemsworth says that he's sticking around as Thor. That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you so much for the question, Neil. All right.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.